Overseer's Log, Episode 6, Armor-Plated Acquisitions. Hello, Vault Dwellers. My name is Kyle. You're listening to our Overseer's Log. This is a series that accompanies our Fallout 2D20 TTRPG actual play series titled Tales from Tomorrow, Under the Mothman's Embrace. This is the very first TTRPG that I have ever taken to the live streaming space, and it is so much fun. Beyond that, this is the first TTRPG that I've ever game mastered or even really meaningfully played in before. I have to do a massive shout out to all of my players, Skylar, Dark Knight, Mac Raven, friends that I've known for years prior to us doing this. And it's just been so much fun. If you've not gone back and caught up on our full episodes, I highly recommend you do so. They're all over YouTube. We've got a Substack. We do them live over on Twitch and YouTube on Sunday nights. Beyond that, we have a Patreon page and a Ko-fi page for those that might want to donate and support the show. And I'll also tease something of great value to all of you right off the top here. I have been approved as a brand ambassador for Bethesda, specifically the Bethesda Gear Store, which means that I can offer you 20% off coupons. And we have one right now. It is the code BTALES. So B is in Bethesda, Tales is in Tales from Tomorrow. And if you put that in at your checkout, you should get 20% off. And it helps us. We get a commission. We get a kickback from it. So really awesome. Great way for the community to kind of get together and celebrate the things that they love. So get in on that. Grab that code. What are we talking about here today? I think on the note of merchandise, I want to talk about Fallout props. Specifically, I want to give a shout out to a shop, which I find to be really, really awesome. It goes by the name Handmade Fallout. So it's etsy.com/shop/handmade Fallout. Eric is the name of the seller there. And I got to say, Eric has been super awesome and helpful. Let me talk about what I got, first of all. If you've seen anyone have boxes of sugar bombs, Abraxo, funnel cakes, blast radius, all these other boxes from the Fallout universe, they sell them up there, up to a set of 41 of them. These are little boxes that you can self-assemble at home. They come to you in a high resolution, really nice print cardboard. And I should say, none of this is sponsored. I spent my money on the shop, and I am so happy that I did. So what do they have? Again, all of these boxes, Abraxo, Instamash, Blamco, all the things that you know and love in that regard. Even an emergency drinking water that is meant to be put around the outside of a Pringles can. It's just really cute, decorative things that you can fill out a set with. And as we're making a Fallout TTRPG, I need some set pieces. On top of that, because we had been dealing with the Wendigo in the first couple episodes that we streamed, and that the Mothman is an underlying plot here, I checked out with an order of the Tales from the West Virginia Hills series. They sell these multi-page notebooks, and they come with these beautiful covers that reflect the actual, like the real in-game book series, magazine series is the more proper word for it. Gorgeous. I had a little bit of an issue with a misprint on them the very first time they came. Eric was super great, got it all situated and sent out. I do want to say, I got these replacements for the Tales from the West Virginia Hills series. The replacements look so much better. I will say they still don't exactly represent or depict the pictures that are up on the website as I'm looking through them right now, but these replacement ones are so much better. And all in, to buy 5 notebooks worth was $25. And these are 20-page notebooks. So if you're someone that having the visual cover is not enough, you need something else to increase that value for you. Well, I mean, 5 times 20, you're getting 100 blank pages that you could be using for your own Fallout game or something similar. I just wanted to give a really big shout out to the shop because Eric was super nice, super understanding and getting back to me right away. Very good communication. The other item I got in the mail today from it that is just so cool because, again, plays a part in our series. I got some of the pink paste, the pink goo that is fed to kids up in, I believe, Fallout 4. And it's made a recurring appearance in our series in the Town of Hope. So just really cool that I have this prop. It's a full tray of pink paste. It cost only $25. That shop has some really cool and really good deals up there. So again, go check that out. Handmade Fallout. I want to spend some time and dwell on it. They got a deal that goes on. If you spend more than $25, you get 20% off a checkout over there as well. No kickbacks or anything like that, for me shouting out this shop. It's a very cool thing. And I'm probably going to go and complete my magazine series collecting from them over time. They've got some other ones up there, the Grognak, the Barbarian set. They've got the Hot Rodder series. What else do they have? Guns and Bullets. I want to say there's maybe another. The Tesla magazines, those exist up there. Oh, and actually almost all the odds and ends magazines are up there to some degree. You might have to do those ones a little bit more piecemeal. He's not selling them all in a complete set yet, which just to keep in mind. And that gives you a little bit of ability to mix and match. There's Tales of Junktown up there, Live and Love. What else do we see in here? Picket Fences, Robco Fun, all these magazines, all these, the Tattoos series, things you've seen throughout your various Fallout playthroughs all exist up there, and they're wonderful. I just cannot speak highly enough of this shop, and it's been something I've really utilized in our growth on YouTube. I just started a TikTok account for us the other day, but back to the YouTube such, I've been doing YouTube shorts, the 15-ish second clips, much like TikTok. I've been doing those where I highlight some of the props, where I highlight sort of the Fallout atmosphere. And I've also started incorporating the Fallout books for the TTRPG into it. It's just been a really cool blend of in-game and metagame a little bit with the Fallout rulebook series. Like, I'm in love with it. It's so much fun. They're so easy to make for me. The feedback and reception of it on YouTube is great. And we've got a lot of followers, a lot of subscribers that have come through from the Fallout shorts on their own. So if you're one of those people, I'll use this as my opportunity to both thank you and to beg for more interaction. Every like, every comment, every rating you can give to any of our shows helps a lot. It is, in this day of the internet and the algorithm, a lot of this content does not see the light of day unless people start interacting with it. I said this before, I'm a broken record, but the moment a few of my friends start to thumbs up or comment or share, boom, it gets into the algorithm. The algorithm sees it as valid, worthwhile of sharing, and it puts it out there. So as they say, the beginning is always the hardest, and that's why without shame, I will sit here and beg, please go give those a thumbs up. Leave a comment, even if it's something as simple as, hey, cool video. And that goes for you. If you're watching this over on YouTube, if you're listening/watching this over on YouTube, do that right now. Go leave a comment below and say, just supporting, love the content, whatever quick phrase you want to say. You don't have to write a novel, but you can, but you don't have to. You just leave some brief thoughts, maybe a quick compliment or something, whatever it is, and it means the world to me. Simply you taking that time out of your busy schedule. Because this is a true passion project. I'm sitting here at midnight as it's going into March 1st, and it's just so fun. I'm just so jazzed and amped up about this. This upcoming Sunday, I guess we should talk about our game now. I've told you my excited nature of the Bethesda code you can use on the shop. I've talked about these props, which you're going to get to see over time. That's why I'm not going to sit here and dwell on them too big. It's radio after all. Let's get into actually talking about where we left off. So last week's episode 5. This was our last weekend without Dark Knight there. He is back now. He's back online. But in the last episode, we had Sam and Raven. They woke up at the Red Rocket Station. They decided to make their way northeast. They decided to pass by Dusty Bones' farm. Said some hellos there. Found out that the raiders they'd encouraged to go that way were posted up. They're guarding Rusty's farm. There was already some connection there between Rusty and the raiders. And our players have decided to unite them, encourage them to work together, and that has benefited them. They went on from the farm up to the rest of the radio tower where they had their encounter with MODUS before. Now, in the last encounter, Jim was the one who went underground into the bunker, but the bunker was dark at the time. This is also my way of saying I didn't have a map made at the time, but I did this round. I got around to it, made this cute little bunker just the start of something. It might get fleshed out more over time, allowing my players to maybe go back there. It sort of depends on their interest. But from MODUS, they were able to retrieve a microscope. That's something that they can hand in back at Hope to help grow the little medical station into a clinic, into a surgery theater. They're going to really try and amp up these things. I really like that part of the Settlers book, that they can build up these towns and the towns will offer them more services. So that's something to maybe keep in mind for game masters. Pardon the rabbit hole here. But just to briefly say, even if your players don't want to make a settlement, especially if they don't necessarily want to make one from scratch, that book, Settler's Guidebook, can be really helpful for deciding what services a town offers. I should probably pull up the book right in front of me as I'm talking about this. 1 second. Okay, perfect. Here's the example I wanted. Medical stores, that is to say, places that sell medical supplies. There are 3 different levels. It says clinics buy and sell chems and provide medical services. The next level, first aid stations, sell chems up to a rarity of 1 as standard, but increases to rarity 2 for a clinic. The rarity 3 it's a surgery center, and then those stores take the forms of clinic and medical centers, but they also provide medical care, offering the services below. It will heal injuries at a medical station. They offer to purge rads at a clinic or surgery center. And addictions can be cured at, was there a stipulation? At a clinic or surgery center. So as you advance beyond a first aid station, it actually offers people payable benefits. It looks like it's 100 caps at a clinic to get your HP and injuries healed. It's, it's got a different price for healing rads and so on and so forth. But the cool thing is I'm taking my eyes away from the notes right now. I like this sort of tiered approach where the players can choose to upgrade these facilities. And this is where power goes back into your hands as a game master or as an overseer, that you don't have to force players to build a settlement as is prescribed in the book. The book is all about play your way. If you want your players to build these medical centers using the rules of the book, fine, so be it. However, if you want to encourage your players as part of a plot hook or as just something to fill in a lazy Saturday, you could give your players different quests that enable the NPC to do the work to upgrade their place. In this case, I'm talking about a microscope. The town doctor in Hope, his name's Jacob, the NPC, he asked the players to retrieve a microscope because he doesn't have a lab. He's got a town theater, like a little play-style theater, turned into a medical facility. They're using the center stage as sort of the operating theater. He's got some stage lighting, pouring down on gurneys. But it needs to be built up. And his requirement, especially tying in the fungi that happened a little off air, that was before we started recording, that the town almost got a necrotizing fungi that came about, something that was starting to devour them. And so Jacob asked them to bring back a microscope because that would help him enhance his efforts. I like how this builds. I'm looking at it all. I'm talking to you all. I like the way we can build this out in both. You could build it by the rules, or you can just build it based on some amount of common sense of what the NPC actually demands of the player. That's what I love about TTRPGs, is you being able to do it your way. You do not need to make your players grind their faces against the pavement. And I think that's maybe a good spot to delve into just for a minute. The rule books, the core rule book, the Settler Guidebook, the Wanderer Guidebook, the GM Toolkit, all these things that Modiphius sells, they are awesome, and I love them. And I really like the fact that they tell you to play the way you want. They give you options, but encourage you to play in a way that makes your table have fun. As I'm sitting here, as I'm learning different rules for the game, and I'm talking about hey, we've been playing for a year already, but we haven't touched this whole system about travel fatigue. I ask myself questions like, is travel fatigue fun? Will your players have fun? Will I have fun? Or will any of us feel tired, tedious, worn down by these systems? Some tables will love certain rules. Other tables will hate/dash the rules out of their area. They're going to sort of cross them out of their homebrewed table rules. And that is okay. Play the way you want. Have fun. So if you're out there and you're looking at all these books, you don't know what you're doing, in the sense of, you're just gathering yourself for the very first play session as a player or as a GM, I recommend always voice what you love and voice what you don't love. It's a good thing to have that conversation at the table. What are the players looking to get out of it? And this should be more than just a session 0. Of course, session 0, if you've never done one before, session 0 is a time where you get together as a group and you set your expectations for the game. A lot of people play a little tutorial thing, so they're starting to understand their characters. They get their sheets working and all that in front of them. But I recommend you keep that check-in going. I always tell my players, tell me what you like, tell me what you don't like. And they do. And they do. So kudos to my players for doing that. Because if that's not voiced, how can I get better? It's just, at that rate then, I'm only gauging my own satisfaction. And that matters too, right? GMs out there, I don't know if this is said enough, and I'll be the person to say it. GMs, if you're not having fun with your game, you need to rectify that. This is a game. You're supposed to have fun too. I think putting this on YouTube has just been the coolest, cherry on the top of it. I love, I've said this, again, a broken record, but I love that publishing this to all of you has encouraged me to up my production value. I really like that we make the Substack posts because it's a cool place to dump my thoughts after the session. I've told this to people before that the way I do this is after the game, I just go and talk right into my phone, right into the Notion app. It has a very good voice to text transcriber, I guess. It takes my words, puts it into text. It does pretty good work. It's not infallible. But then I go and I clean up this brain dump that I do soon, about 15 minutes after our episode wraps, 15 minutes after we get off of our decompression call. I go and I just dump my remembrance of the episode in there. And it's not perfect. I leave some things out. That's okay. But it gives people about a 3 to 4 paragraph summary synopsis of what happened. And that way, if anyone ever wants to go back and they want to find more, I try and also include some map pictures, some character art maybe, things of that. Ooh, which does leave me to tease that the Patreon, by the way, is going to start off people who are subscribed for 3 months at a time. So each quarter of the year, you will get mailed some of the character art as a sticker, if that interests you. And if you happen to be a Mr. House of the Wasteland, if you got a lot of caps lying around, there is a founders tier which will receive an exclusive hoodie after about 3 months of being subscribed. So if you want to check that out, the Patreon is brand spanking new. I mean, technically it's an old account of mine, which is why we're grandfathered into some really cool stuff. We get to take advantage of the merchandising options at a much lower commission penalty or much lower Patreon fee than others might get. And that is so cool. I'm just super excited, ecstatic. I can't choose my words as I'm sitting here. I hope the excitement comes through. My sloppiness in terms is because my brain is just so amped. I always sit around thinking, what the heck am I going to talk about on the podcast? And then I knock out 30 minutes of jibber jabber really, really quickly. So thank you for listening to these. Thank you for letting me share. I've wondered to myself, hey, are these overseer logs even worth it? Is this good? Is this what I want to be doing? And it is. I mean, I think for nothing else, the time capsule that I know I'm never going to go back and listen to. I like having these recorded. I like having them recorded. And I am sorry. I've teased for 6 episodes now that I'm going to invite the comrades on here, but recording this at 12 at night on a Friday is sort of an oddball one. I just am not mentally prepared enough. But I'll talk about that too. I've really been leveraging a lot of technology to help me get my crap together for this Fallout series. using apps like Notion, I digitized the entire PDF. Well, multiple PDFs. I have digitized almost all of the PDFs that I've gotten from Modifius and turned them into Notion pages. That's what I mean by digitize. Sure, the PDF is digital, but it's set up in the same way as the book, right? But when I take them up to Notion, I'm copying, pasting, and fixing the format of these PDFs, making them searchable for me and the crew. That has been huge. That was such a great way to learn the rules to begin with, because it was forcing me chapter after chapter after chapter to go in there and at least look at the stuff. I'm not saying I learned every detail of all the pages I digitized. No way. I've digitized hundreds of pages. But even just that forced familiarity. Okay, I've got to digitize all the food. I've got to digitize all the weapons. I got to digitize all the ammo. It forces you to see it. At least just the header of it. I'm enamored. I'm thrilled. I love using Notion for that. Notion has been my bread and butter for creating, I guess, all of it, really. I mean, it's been the driving force behind the episode summaries. It's where I keep all my hashtags for Instagram. I don't know if you're a content creator out there listening to this, but as an ADHD guy, I love parts of social media, but I hate other elements of it. By the way, this is a guy who went to college back in 2010 for social media. This is before the great algorithms were launched. They came a couple years later, really mucked things up in my opinion. But when I went into college, we still had the reverse chronological timelines. Like you could go to class and come back and you would pick up right where you left off in your Facebook feed and your Twitter feed and your Instagram feed. Unfortunately, the algorithm has destroyed that, and it has just, I hate it. I hate everything about the algorithm. I have a lot of bad things to say about algorithms. I think it trains content creators like myself to play to the algorithm instead of the audience, which is immediately a failure, right? Like, this is not Kyle judging anyone that's doing that to succeed. Like, kudos to you. Please come be my life coach. And how do you force yourself to do it? I want to know. But I, as the creator, hate that. They're being creative and then being forced to compress, crush, torment your creation so it fits into these arbitrary boxes of the algorithm. Vile. I mean, just absolutely vile. That leads to a much larger conversation, of course, of how any sort of monetization ruins art, right? The moment an artist who loves to paint passionate pictures that come from their heart and soul, the moment they have to start selling themselves on the internet, they cease to be that pure artist, and they're forced into being a salesman. They're forced into being a commission chaser. And again, this is not any shade towards an artist. This is shade towards our capitalist system that demands that of you, right? Your housing, your food is not taken care of in the real world, so you are forced to sell and monetize all of your hobbies. And so this is me now circling back around and saying, I have used a lot of technology this time to help me get over those hurdles. Another shout out to some software, Windows and Google phone users, all the rest, Android phones. You can find your own app for this, but if you're on the iOS, Mac OS sort of ecosystem, Paste is a cool app for this. Paste is one of those ongoing, long-term clipboards for your copied and pasted content. So, for example, I uploaded all of my hashtags I want to recycle on Instagram, and now on my phone or my MacBook, like wherever I am, I can just paste those things in really quickly. And I've done the same to sort of boilerplate descriptions. I've got a couple that I run on Instagram under, like, no matter what the post is, no matter what the kind of gotcha text is at the top, I always run this, hey, this is Tales of Tomorrow, blah, 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 blah. Old Kyle would have tried to type this by hand or gotten really ADHD frustrated, like really shut down, sort of emotionally, genuinely triggered. If people know, like, ADHD and autistic folks have very low emotional tolerance levels. That means small things can really just sort of frustrate me so much that I just want to like slam my hands down and be like, I'm done, get it out of here, And now if I can vent again, we live in such a sad world of these apps being hot freaking garbage. Instagram, I'm going to kick you in the teeth right now because you deserve it. Instagram, an app that I've used since 2011, literally, actually. It frustrates me to no end that they have gutted and beaten that software to the point that when you're trying to upload photos to Instagram, the photo app, that it gives you so many black screen errors, fake false crops. I don't know if any of you have seen this, but like, I think Instagram's gotten a little softer on this now, but over the years, they've of course forced people to use squares, and then they opened it up to rectangles for your image shape. And they had this weird bug for the past 3 years where if you, let's say you were uploading like 5 square images and you accidentally click on one that's a rectangle, oh, whoops, shame on you, you dummy. And Instagram would force crop everything. And so you'd have to back out of the whole process. Hello? Should Instagram not be rolling out the red carpet for you as a creator to upload photos to their app? They should be offering to wipe your butt, not the other way around. Not like, hey, I know you want to upload some photos, so here, I need you to walk barefoot over this glass through a minefield. Like, that is what sets me off as an ADHD guy, because I often get sidetracked too. So here I go, I've got my photos ready, I've got my caption ready, and I'm ready to upload something, and then the app just spits in my face by breaking and collapsing, and that gets me into a loop of like frustration. I forget where I was, what was I doing, something else caught my attention, now I'm doing that, oops, 3 hours have passed and I didn't upload it. So I just want to say, shout out to some of the technology I've merged together. And in fact, I'll give you a rundown of what I'm using these days. I am using Notion to gather all my thoughts. I am using Paste to paste all those details. Pixelmator is my photo editor of choice. Dungeon Draft to make my maps. Shout out to Lore, the Patreon channel. Should be pinned in most of my YouTube videos at the bottom if you want to go support them on Patreon. What else am I using? I mean, we could talk about streaming another time too with OBS and how we're uploading that content. Oh, I guess I should say we are using iMovie. I have Final Cut Pro and I like Final Cut Pro, but I was having an issue where Final Cut Pro likes to export files in an enormous size. And for some reason, iMovie it lets you choose the bitrate more manually. And because I'm making such minor edits to my videos, I'm just cutting out like our 10-minute AFK break in the middle, and I'm trimming up the beginning. I just do an iMovie. Many, many less features, but it exports better. And I don't really want to turn this into a huge production in that way. If the day would ever come where we had an editor friend who I could pay to do good edits for us, I'm in. Let's talk about that. I would love to make other YouTube videos. So if you're an editor, don't be shy about ever getting in touch. I would always love to do more. And my biggest constriction is that I don't know people that do that. Of course, pricing is a whole other conversation too, but I don't even know the people to have those conversations with. The same goes for graphic designers. If you're a graphic designer, I'd rather not use AI-generated art for our characters. That's what we have right now. Not because I love it, but because we just need something. We're not artsy designers like that. And it's really cool that AI does let you create some of these backdrops. I very much am on the side of artists, but in a project like this, it is my salvation. I don't know that this project would have legs if it wasn't for my ability to use AI to, again, generate me some hashtags or help me come up with some generic background art for a set piece, like framed kind of aspect. There's just a lot to say that I'm trying to blend this all together because little old Kyle would be so overwhelmed, so beat down. And I've done this before. I mean, I've been on similar rodeos like this before. And I would not be going 6 weeks strong at this point if it wasn't for all these great tools at my disposal. Also, to say that all the work I did prior to this has led me to this point. All that skill I've picked up along the way, whether it manifests itself or not, that's in your eye, the beholder sort of thing. But just to say that because of the previous experiences I've had, it's now allowing me to do more in a better way. Oh, another tool we use that incorporates AI is Opus Pro, I believe it's called. It takes clips of your YouTube videos and it crops or trims out the more flashy bits. It gives you a rating of how well it thinks it'll do, and then it will auto-publish them for you to YouTube, to TikTok, to Instagram. And I'll say, I don't know that I'm absolutely in love with the service. It does pretty good. The clips haven't really gotten huge traction yet. That could be because our content's relatively unknown, but it is neat. It's cool that I can just keep some extra content flowing to these apps. Because for those of you who have tried to do content creation before, one of the most penalizing things is that oftentimes the algorithms want you to be regular, consistent, constant, going. And that's too much for most people. I mean, that is how you get inauthentic art right there. When you force an artist to be a content performer first, like dance for the algorithm, dance. It doesn't matter that your batteries are low. It doesn't matter that your mind is frazzled. It doesn't matter you had a tough week at work. It doesn't matter that you don't have time to do another clip that's only going to get 10 views or 100 views. That's not real art at that stage. And this, again, not an attack on the artist, and it's an attack on the capitalist system that forces us into that. These algorithms should not work this way. For anyone out there that goes, Kyle, you're blaming capitalism. You're damn right I am, because the only reason the algorithms work this way is because they want to feed you ads. They want you on that app. They want you to neglect your child, to neglect your lover, to neglect your dog, to neglect your house, to stay on those apps. And that is something that has been well documented. There was a documentary around 2021. I think it was the Social Dilemma or Social something like that on Netflix. And it was some of the founders of Twitter before it was X. I think some of the people from Instagram, and they were saying, we don't let our kids use this stuff. It is a gambling device. We've paid psychologists to formulate ways with our development team to make these apps actually addictive. And I just say to you all, huh? Like we all know that, I think. And if you don't, sorry for the rough awakener. But it's just gross how these force us to behave and to dance and to be good little dancing bears on the stage. So screw that noise. We're using technology to try and break through some of these walls. But again, if you're someone out there that's a real human creative hand, we would much rather have that than our AI. Like I'm 100% in. But starting out's tough. And I'll say you've all made it so much less tough. You all, with your constant interaction with the posts, the sharing, the likes, the comments, again, it changes a lot. The algorithm cares. So please don't feel like that's unimpactful. And again, if you're out there and you're Mr. or Mrs. Moneybags, you're someone that's got big cash that can throw at a Patreon or a coffee, or hell, even if you just wanted to do $1, I think we got $1 tiers up there on Patreon, just so you can have that little recognition of support. Whatever kind of money you could donate, awesome. But I want you to know that your time, your dedication matters. In a day and age where there is just so much slop out there on the internet, there's tons of good stuff, but there's tons of slop. It is so cool to have people who are invested in this project, because I will give you this promise that I will be as invested in this as you are. So I will stay loving what we're doing, and I will promise to always enhance it so long as you share and partake in it as well. We're bringing this to a public space. We're taking our private game that we love to a public space because we know how cool the Fallout audience is. We know how cool it is to see people make art of your characters. We know how cool it is to hear fan theories about plots. Like I see this, and I'm part of this in other communities. I'm a little bit more of a wallflower there, but I see it and it's adorable. I mean, it's what I love. I love the feedback. I love the back and forth. I mean, it is sort of an echo chamber of that sense, right? Like the more we talk and the more you talk back, the more it resonates and it builds. So that is my promise to you. I will be as invested in this project as you are. And I say the same to my friends all the time with it, right? With my other players. I will bring my very best each week to the table. Everything I've got, all this energy, all this passion. I love the Fallout universe. I love critiquing capitalism. I love getting people to know the plot to this. I mean, hell, like I said, there is no way to argue. Fallout is a hard, critical view of capitalism. For anyone that doesn't think that's the case, well, it's time to read some Marxist texts, my friend. It's time to actually understand what capitalism is. But you don't even need that detail, because you can just see, again, companies like Abraxo and Fallout illegally dumping chemicals, creating the pit, destroying the environment. People who are dumping radioactive runoff because they didn't want to properly follow channels to do it. They want to save money, so they're illegally dumping it into lakes and things like that, right? That's what the Fallout universe is. It's a critique on the fascist American government that has the enclave, right? And I think it's just so poignantly on the nose that our material world that we live in outside of the internet, that world is coming to almost an identical mirror to the Fallout universe. The companies that are forming up under the US government, I mean, I think Tesla, the boring company type of thing, that's going to be your vault-tec, everybody. I really think that's the case. I think, with Elon's hands all over the government, unrestricted, unfettered, oligarchic control, right? The capitalists see us as pawns in their game. We are the labor that they have purchased. And so they want to make us work. So lots of parallels to be had. Fallout 76 touches on a lot of workers' strikes. If you've never watched the documentary Harlan County, USA, you should get your butt over onto Amazon and watch that. I think it's on YouTube as well. That's a really, really good one. But I'm rambling now. I want to make sure to take some time for myself. I'm going to go rest up, get this episode exported. But just to thank you all from the bottom of my heart, thank you for being a subscriber. Thank you if you decide to support on Patreon or Ko-fi. Thank you if you join our Discord server, if you get to leave us a rating on iTunes, on Spotify. We're on we're on Amazon Music. We are in as many places we can get to, and I will promise to bridge out to more if you want them there. If you will show up and you will consume the content on that platform, if you will engage with it on that platform, I will do my best to bring it there. So again, social medias, Instagram, TikTok, those two are sort of my lesser projects, but YouTube and Twitch take the forefront. Those are where we do the live streams every Sunday, 7:30 p.m. Eastern time on Twitch. We do the pre-show. Both channels, then YouTube and Twitch, kick off at 8 p.m. with the formal episode, and then you see it get published and syndicated throughout the week. I have waffled back and forth here about whether or not I will start releasing these videos on Tuesday. I'm going to say this all one more time. I had a lot of hoops to jump through when I was learning how Substack works and how Substack syndicates things. The big question is, if you listen to episode 1, 2, and 3, I didn't know if I was going to keep uploading an audio-only version to YouTube. I think I'm going to try and do that for these episodes. People, they get 30 views a piece, 30, 60 on the audio-only episodes. Hell, some of these Overseer logs have 90 views on them. That's awesome. That is so cool. I am so glad people are engaging with it. So I guess I will also thank the YouTube algorithm that it is the least crappy of all of them. I dislike the YouTube algorithm most. Does that make sense? I hate the YouTube algorithm the least because it's been rather nice to us. It doesn't seem to judge you on what time of day you release. It doesn't seem to judge you that you got to release X amount of videos a week. But I've picked up that my shorts tend to get their biggest bursts in about 4 to 12 hours, and then I can upload another one. And as I'm learning those pacings of the algorithm, it's helping me decide what sort of content I want to release. So for the main Tales from Tomorrow YouTube channel, again, I'm probably going to change this 1,000 more times, But I think I might start, we'll do the live stream on Sunday. I think you might get the videos on Tuesday. That helps me a bit because often on Wednesday, I'm really looking to like get further into my promotion of the content, post it to Reddit, post it to this, post it to that. And what I'm finding is it's not uploaded in time for me to have that energy burst. Like I'm like, oh, I want to go do this now. I'm like, well, the episode doesn't air for like 3 more hours, Kyle. So you got to wait. And then if, ADHD, I get into waiting mode and I don't get anything done. And then time comes around and I forget. So again, I think we're going to do live stream Sunday, main episode release Tuesday. We might do the audio on Thursday. And then I think we'll do these overseer logs on Saturday, and then it resets itself again. So Sunday, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. Sunday, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. You got the rhythm. If that falls flat, the only thing that I'm changing is that the main episode will be on Wednesday, right? That's the only difference throughout the week is do you get the primary, the audio video episode, does that come on Tuesday or Wednesday? As long as you're okay with giving me that little latitude and freedom, then I promise again to get you content that I'm proud of, to get you stories that I'm proud of. And if this move comes through where I end up moving to a town where one of my friends lives, I really just want to do my next space, my next home. I want to deck it out and all this cool Fallout prop stuff. I really like it. Fallout's such a fun thing. I'm such a history nerd at heart. I really like the retrofuturism of the 50s for as horrible and homophobic and racist and all the rest that time is. I think my brain likes to tease out that glamour of it, right? Like everything's bad, but here's the fake glamour and veneer on top. And I think that's Fallout for me. I think that's what I love about it. I said before, if Fallout did not have the bubblegum wrapper to it, if it didn't have the ink spots, if it didn't have jingle jangle, if it didn't have all these great songs and feelings, if it didn't have sugar bombs and it didn't have Vault Boy smiling and telling you everything's going to be okay, life above ground. If it didn't do that stuff, I wouldn't like it. I don't like a depressing post-apocalyptic world. And so again, I think that all ties together that, the 50s was actually this horrible time, but it's really interesting that the American government, the American psyche, through forced propaganda films, convinced people that was a good time, that things were great. Women were cooked on drugs because they were forced into these marriages with these abusive husbands who half of them were probably secretly gay and getting banged at the YMCA locker room. All of this is going on and America's like, everything's great. We're awesome. Life is good. Look at all the happiness. Look at these cars. Look at the white picket fence. And meanwhile, behind the white picket fence, they're lynching people, right? So that juxtaposition is what attracts me to study those times and to tell these stories. That this is, again, inherently a political topic. There's no way of avoiding it. And I thank you for being here on the journey. So with that being said, with you knowing my interest in history, with you knowing what software I'm using, with you knowing that you can use the code BTAILS at checkout at Bethesda Gear, I feel like you're set for the week. Check out the Patreon. Give us some early support if you want. I'm going to call out the names of patrons over on the Twitch stream, and we'll go from there. I thank you. If you got any questions, you know what to do. Leave a comment below. I will get back to you as soon as possible. Hey, it can be something as simple as, I enjoyed the show. And I would be thrilled with that. I'll like it, and I'll heart it, and we'll get back here next week. And in the future, when I'm a little more settled, we'll have our friends in here. Maybe make that a regular thing. I bet I could talk Dark Knight into that. His schedule probably allows it. Mac Raven, she's asleep by 11 p.m. But how's she going to make it to Kyle's late night bonanza here? And Sky, he works so busy Sky. It's some of the little time he can cut out in the week is to be with us on Sundays already. So, okay, I've rambled enough. I love you all. Thank you so much. Be safe in the wasteland. Don't forget to tip a couple extra caps to your bartender. And, stop in at the Wayward. Let them know that Kyle sent you. See you next time. Bye-bye.